Okay, so let us start. Excellencies, dear engineers, dear colleagues, students everywhere, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and my warm greetings to you all from UNESCO headquarters in Paris. At the outset, I would like to inform you that this webinar can be followed in two languages, English and French. Please use the interpretation channels at the bottom of your Zoom screen to switch between languages. My name is Amal Kasry. I am the Chief of Section of Basic Science, Research, Innovation and Engineering at the Natural Science sector at UNESCO. And I am delighted to be here today together with my colleagues, Mr. Shaofeng, who is the Director of the Division of Science Policy and Basic Science, and also Professor Shahbaz Khan, the Director and the Representative to UNESCO Multisectoral Regional Office for East Asia. As you may know, every year on the 4th of March, we come together to celebrate World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development. This is a global initiative proclaimed by the General Conference of UNESCO in 2019. And since its inception, the day has witnessed vibrant celebrations across the world. Our esteemed partner, the World Federation of Engineering Organization, plays a pivotal role in organizing and coordinating these celebrations through its extensive network of members and partners and institutions. This year's celebrations promise an array of stimulating activities and events. Among these activities is an accelerating hackathon where engineers can apply their theoretical knowledge in a fast-paced simulation of real-world projects. The results of this hackathon will be broadcast during a 24-hour global stream, which will also feature discussions on key engineering topics. This global showcase will highlight local events from various corners of the world. I encourage you all to participate in this 24 hours global stream. It is accessible via the World Engineering Day website. Additionally, we have an impressive lineup of distinguished speakers who will make this webinar both informative and invigorating. If you have any questions for our speakers, please feel free to add them to the chat box. Specifying the speaker's name, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let us start this exciting webinar, and I am delighted to start by sharing a message by Ms. Lidia Brito, our Assistant Director General for Natural Sciences at UNESCO, who regrettably is unable to join us today, but her insights remain invaluable as we gather here to celebrate the World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development. Okay, perhaps until we try to figure out this technical issue, we are very sorry about that. Perhaps we can broadcast it later. Now let me please invite my colleague, Mr. Shaofeng, who the Director of the Division of Science Policy and the Basic Sciences, to deliver the opening remarks. And with his insights, let us set the tone for engaging and enlightening session. Shaofeng, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Amal. Thanks, dear colleagues and dear friends of engineering and sustainable development. And good morning, and good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. And first, it is a happy World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development. Today, we gathered virtually and transcending borders and time zones to celebrate the unwavering spread of the innovation that engineers bring to our world. As we embark on this journey toward a more sustainable future, we found inspiration in the tireless effort of engineers worldwide. Engineers, regardless of gender, are the architects of the change. They bridge the gap between the imagination and the reality, transforming dreams into tangible solutions. Today, as we explore the theme of the engineering solution for a sustainable world, we recognize the magnitude of their contributions. However, Innovation alone is not enough. To be effective, engineering must be open, inclusive, and collaborative. As the lead agency of the 2024 to 2033 International Decade of Science for Sustainable Development, UNESCO is developing and sharing a clear vision and a dedicated mission in close consultation with member states and the partners of other UN agencies, the International Science Council, the World Federation of Engineering Organizations, and as well as scientific unions and science academias and other civil societies. This decade is our Kairos, a Kairos where science, technology, and engineering hurry. It is time to bridge disciplines, to foster interdisciplinary collaboration, and to ignite transformative solutions. The decade is not merely a proclamation, it is the call to action. Together, we will unravel the mystery of science, harnessing the power of innovation to propel us toward a better tomorrow. As we stand at the precipice of change, let us embrace a collective approach to engineering. Our energy, creativity, and determination will shape a resilient tomorrow. Together, we will rebuild more wisely, more sustainably, and meet the world's pressing challenge heads on. Ladies and gentlemen, and this year, the theme of the World Engineering Day, we will explore engineering a sustainable energy future, innovative solution for a better tomorrow. Our collective mission is very clear: to create a world where energy is abundant, clean, and accessible to all. So, dear engineers, let us ignite the spark of innovation. Let us engineer a future where engineer flows freely, where prosperity knows no boundary, and where sustainability is our legacy. Hopefully, today's webinar will delve into ground breakthrough ideas, cutting-edge technologies, and collaborative strategies. Let us engage, learn, and inspire one another. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Shaofeng, for this insightful remarks. And we will try once more the video from Assistant Director General. I hope it works, and please forgive us for this last-minute technical issues, as usual. Ashwini, can you try to share, please? Okay, I think apparently there are some issues with the sound today. Okay, let us move forward. Thank you, Ashwini. So, thank you, everyone. Now we apologize again. So now it's my privilege to extend a warm invitation to Ms. Norah Magero to deliver the keynote address. Ms. Norah Magero is a visionary social entrepreneur. She is the co-founder and the CEO of Drop Access. Drop Access is a women-led and youth-led organization that focuses on providing clean energy solutions to rural communities in Kenya. With a background in mechanical engineering from the University of Nairobi, Norah is passionate about leveraging technology for Africa's sustainable development. In addition to her role at Drop Access, Norah holds the esteemed position of co-chair of the Energy Access Working Group within the Council of Engineers for the Energy Transition, operating under the auspices of the UN Secretary General. This global high-level body comprises engineers and energy systems experts dedicated to advancing the UN's goal of achieving net zero emission by 2050. Let us eagerly anticipate her insights and enriching perspectives as we embark on this momentous occasion. And Norah, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Amal. I hope you can see my screen now. And thank you so much for the introduction. Once again, my name is Norah Magero. I'm one of the founders for Drop Access Limited, and we are pioneering manufacturers of clean tech within Africa and from Kenya. And today I'm wearing the hat of being also a co-chair for Energy Access Working Group within the Council of Engineers of the Energy Transition, which, as Amal had explained, is an independent advisory council to the United Nations Secretary General. So in line with the theme for this World Engineering Day, Engineering a Sustainable Energy Future, I'm going to give us a brief of innovative solutions for a better tomorrow from the perspective of the CET, as well as my own perspective with my experience in mechanical engineering, as well as clean tech space. So just again, quickly, who are we at the CET? The Council of Engineers is a global high-level body of engineers and energy system experts from all over the world.
I'm sorry, Norah, I'm sorry. We cannot hear you now.
Oh, I'll just...
yes, now it's back. It's back. Please continue.
Okay. So the CET is a global high-level body of engineers and energy system experts, and we contribute to the UN Secretary General goals to build a coalition to achieve net zero emission by 2050. So we generally contribute to the UN through engineering sustainable pathways to achieve a comprehensive decarbonization by mid-century. Now, our core activities involve solving the challenges of scaling key technologies in support of the global energy transition. And we all know that as much as technology has really advanced, there's still a scale challenge problem, mostly within the global south. We publish technical briefs on zero carbon technologies, including breakthrough technologies that we have interacted with as engineers within the space, as well as from our networks. We analyze sectoral and integrated pathways at regional and local levels, and we provide guidance and technical advice from a globally diverse expert perspective, ensuring a gender responsive energy transition and decarbonization. We are a thought leader in the sustainability space. So CET has identified priority thematic areas of research that are essential in the energy transition, which feeds into today's theme of sustainable or of building a sustainable future. And the priority areas that we have considered and we truly do advocate behind is providing energy access solutions for everyone. Large-scale renewable deployment and digitization, because digitization is a very fundamental part of ensuring universal energy access. Energy-intensive industries, such as the concrete and the steel industries, energy in transportation, e-mobilities and the like, energy efficiency, because we ought to double on our energy efficiency strategies. Hydrogen as a solution that will propel adoption and mostly in the storage space, and critical minerals that are a big fuss right now because of their sourcing and their endpoint. So we contribute through expert contributions that are made through working groups as well as the task force. So each of the priority areas identified above actually either has a work group and a task force. Now, so far, our outputs that we've issued briefs on the hydrogen technologies and what the future could look like, the best practices for renewable energy integration, briefing notes on the cement and the concrete industry, as well as the steel industries, then beyond basic electricity access, then realized promise of solar power for economic growth, and the focus is on sub-Saharan Africa. As we all know, some of the people who do not have electricity at the highest rate fall within sub-Saharan Africa, where my continent, where actually I come from. So this has to be looked at a greater focus if we're thinking of a universal energy access. And finally, decarbonizing the cement and the concrete sector, as well as iron and steel industries. Most of us actually do not know that in the next decade, Africa is going to be the biggest consumer of cement and the concrete. So there lies an opportunity to be able to decarbonize these sectors, but also do it sustainably while creating economic growth for the continent. We've issued statements in the past, such as the COP7 statement on the CET priority focus for accelerating the energy transition. And our focus was to identify the best engineering and technology practices and pathways that apply locally in country for regions as well as globally. Our statement was also on leveraging on the global expertise of the CET to enhance regional and global collaboration and connectivity around technology pathway and accompanying finance. Finance is a major issue that must follow adoption, but financing also comes along with the appropriate technologies that are guided by the engineering practices. We also collaborate with other agencies to identify priorities and develop roadmaps with sustainability, such as the IRENA and other organizations within the space. And we serve a resource for national decision makers and multilateral institutions on technology mix, as well as the other options that we can leverage on as a continent. Now, what are the current states for sustainable energy solutions? The world added 50% of, that is around 50 gigawatts more renewable energy capacity in 2023 compared to the previous year. Solar takes 75%. The COP28 climate talks call for tripling of renewable energy capacity and doubling energy efficiency improvements by 2030, according to the World Economic Forum. For energy storage, the globally installed energy storage capacity addition in 2023 was estimated to be 42 gigawatts, around 99 gigawatt hours, with lithium ion dominating the market. But then preference seems to be shifting from the LFP, the lithium iron phosphate, vis-a-vis the NMCs because of cost implications, while hydrogen storage is proving most promising. 2030 predictions show that Asia Pacific, the APAC region, will dominate with 47% installed capacity, that is on gigawatt basis, while the Middle East and Asia, the EMEA region, will follow with 34%. For e-mobility, the International Energy Agency reports that electric car sales have exceeded 10 million, 35% increase in electric car sales in the past. In Sub-Saharan Africa, the 2- and 3-wheeler are the most popular, and the dominating regions are the South and East Africa that has the most number of fleets. And there has been public and private investments that have been channeled within East Africa to ensure that startups actually do thrive and projects are brought to bankability. Shell Foundation estimates that investment worth 3.5 billion to 8.9 billion are needed to satisfy the market for electric two-wheelers in 5 African countries, namely Kenya and the other East African countries by 2030. For policy and regulations, governments are implementing policies and regulations to promote renewable energy, including subsidies, incentives, emissions reduction targets. The world is only halfway towards the adoption of advanced policy frameworks for sustainable energy, according to the World Bank. There is a growing emphasis on energy efficiency in buildings, industries, and transportation to reduce overall energy consumption. But sadly enough, in 2023, the energy intensity, the main metric used for the energy efficiency of the global economy, fell back to 1.3, while it had a steady 2%. While in clean cooking, achieving universal access to clean cooking is one of the most significant levers to achieving global climate and development goals. So today, 2.3 billion people who live each day without clean cooking still live with us in this continent. And the number of people without clean cooking solutions continue to trend upwards in sub-Saharan Africa, which is quite alarming, as much as there has been trends and advancements in promoting clean cooking within the continent. So 4 out of 5 people continue to cook their meals over open fire today. And nearly 4 million people die each year from unhealthy cooking practices. This is unacceptable. So to get us to a point where we all have universal access to clean cooking, 300 million people will need to gain access to cleaner cooking solutions every year to ensure universal access by 2030 at a cost of 80 billion annually. Compared to clean energy, this is actually just 1% of the subsidy. Now, the challenges in creating energy future are quite vast. And these include intermittencies and reliability, where, like an example, my country, Kenya, has achieved 76% renewable energy injection into the grid, but yet 40 million people are at risk of intermittency and reliability of even what's available. But then renewable energy sources also are intermittent and not reliable if we don't integrate them with appropriate storage. Yet storage is still quite expensive. There is infrastructure development that is still hindering advancement to an energy safe future. Building the necessary infrastructure for renewable energy, including power grids and storage facilities, requires significant investment and planning. Financing needs bankable projects. Technology innovation. Continued research and development are essential for improving the efficiency and cost effectiveness of renewable energy and clean energy technologies. In such as like clean cooking, the focus has been on the stove technology, while we need more focus on the social economic benefit of these technologies into the market, mostly in the global south. Transitioning from fossil fuel to sustainable alternative processes is still lagging behind and face economic challenges, as many existing industries are deeply entrenched in traditional energy sources. So how do we address the loss of economic gains and livelihood? I know for sure this is one of the factors that we still have to overcome and have a global or a universal or even a regional acceptance on how to address the the economic gains or the economic loss in the transition and the loss of livelihoods. Political and policy uncertainty. Changes in the political leadership and policy uncertainty can impact long-term investment in sustainable energy projects. Resource availability, such as the rare earth minerals that are used for solar panels, wind turbines, battery technology, pose such a challenge to scalability. And there isn't such a clear universal path to sustainable and non-exploitative access to critical minerals while promoting this adoption of these critical minerals for manufacturing. And we finally need global cooperation. Achieving a sustainable energy future requires international cooperation to address climate. Current geopolitical tensions will undermine ongoing efforts. So, as I wrap up, I'd like to read to us the speech given by the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, on the launch of the CET. Climate change is a global crisis caused by human activity. Our decisions can solve it. With technology and economics on our side, we can actually achieve energy access and decarbonize energy system. This demands progress in 3 areas: ensuring energy access for all, rapidly tripling investments in renewable energy, and of energy efficiency, and phasing out coal and stopping investment in new coal, oil, and gas exploration. All this will take more ambition and policy intervention. It will also take experts with technical knowledge and skills to plan and help implement an inclusive and sustainable pathway to decarbonization. To put it simply, we need engineers. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm wishing you all a happy World Engineering Day. And as we fall into this webinar, I hope that we will finally have implementation strategies and also it spark a journey where we finally get to see the future that one day has to be. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Norah, for this insightful presentation and the information on CET. Thank you very much for this. I remind the audience with us, if you have questions, please add your questions to the chat or to the Q&A button and direct it to the speaker, please. Let us continue now. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to introduce Ms. Diana Shendrikova, who will moderate our panel discussions. Ms. Diana Shendrikova serves as an assistant professor at the Department of Energy within Politecnico di Milano. Her academic journey includes a PhD in History of International Relations from Sapienza University of Rome. Diana is an active participant in the Sustainable Energy System Analysis and Modeling Research Group, operating under the esteemed UNESCO Chair in Energy for Sustainable Development. The group's mission revolves around assessing the impact of energy scenarios and the technology roadmaps, aligning them with the Agenda 2030 and the national energy, environmental, and economic policies. Their research spans diverse spatial and temporal skills, including integrated energy system optimization, inter-sectoral linkages, and electrification strategies. Diana's expertise significantly contributes to advancing sustainable energy solutions and modeling the energy transition, and we are fortunate to have her expertise guide our discussion today. Dear Diana, thank you very much for joining us today, and as we delve into the latest developments in sustainable energy solutions, their practical implementation for a brighter future, and the pivotal role of entrepreneurship in driving innovation within the fields of sustainable energy. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Amal. Thank you for this presentation. Thank you, UNESCO, for this webinar and for this opportunity. Of course, it's my pleasure and my honor to moderate this session with such high level and professionals from around the world. And it's hard to add something after our speakers, but of course, as we navigate in the energy transition, we should all give our contribution. It should be more to make sure that it's more inclusive and as embracing as possible people from different research and professional backgrounds. I myself am not an engineer, but working with the engineers, of course, from my behalf, I would say that also diplomacy plays an important role. People from different countries in the world. And people, men and women alike, we all need to contribute for the better future. But it goes without saying that the key role in this transition plays engineering, applied science, and also the south of the world. That is something that was underlined during the COP28 recently, and I'm sure will be also discussed during the next COP, and that is something very important for the energy transition, and that is something that our webinar and our roundtable will be kind of centered around. So I'm really happy to introduce my respected panelists, and really looking forward to their inputs. I hope you all as well. And the first panelist is Maryse Nkoua. Maryse Nkoua is the Executive Director of the Oyo Center of Excellence for Renewable Energies and Energy Efficiency in the Republic of Congo. Maryse holds a PhD in nanotechnology and nanoscience from the University of Trieste, Italy. She is also an esteemed member of the Organization for Women in Science for the Developing World. The Oyo Center represents a significant milestone in the Republic of Congo's commitment to advancing its energy transition. Maryse's leadership at the Oyo Center of Excellence underscores the importance of collaborative efforts in driving sustainable energy solution and shaping the energy transition in Central Africa. Well, I most welcome Maryse, and I would have just a couple of questions to you regarding your experience and your professional pathway. Well, the first one is, what are the most important considerations for developing sustainable energy solutions that are equitable and accessible to all, according to you? Looking forward to your insights. Thank you, Maryse. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Diana, for the question. But before to answer, I would like to really thank Amal and Indira for inviting me and to be part of this webinar. I'm really honored and really thank you. I'm not an engineer, but I'm a physicist, but I will give my feedback from this point of view. So developing sustainable energy solutions that are equitable and accessible to all, it's required like really careful consideration on various factors. Norah has just shown it to us in the previous presentation. I will just cite maybe 3 or 4 of them. The first one is on the education and training. How it could have impact the solution is by providing education and training program to empower communities to understand, to adopt and maintain sustainable energy solutions. This is the first consideration on my point of view. The second one is on policy and regulation as well. And I think Norah has really easy my point of view, but I would just say on policy and regulation is by implementing like supporting policy and regulation that promote equitable access to sustainable energy, and not only promote this, but also address potential barrier, because the situation is not always the same in each part of the world. The third consideration, maybe the last, no, I will say the fourth. So the third one is on research and innovation technology. we all know it's really important by investing in research and development to create affordable and efficient technology. Not only created efficient technology, but those creations need to be suitable for diverse environment and the context on which you are also. And the last one, I think, is from my point of view, it's really important because we could do training, we could do policy and research, but we need to, first of all, have the community engagement in order to make the thing move forward. So encouraging the community involvement in each side of a project, from the planification, from the implementation and management of any kind of sustainable energy project. This will make the community to feel like to own the project, and this will feel like we make the project to be more sustainable in that sense. So overall, on what am I thinking of consideration of having on developing sustainable energy solution by addressing all those considerations by trainer, stakeholder, researcher, policymaker, it can really work toward developing sustainable energy solutions that are not only from an environmental point of view, but also socially inclusive and maybe also economically viable. And lastly, I will say, especially if I'm from Africa, accessible to all segments of societies. This is some key consideration need to be taken into account if you would like to achieve some goal.
Oh, thank you so much, Maryse. It's really important, the issue of the social sustainability that you raised, and that there is no one solution that fits all. It should be really, let's say, based on local needs and on local demands, and that's where community engagement is really important. But also, as a physicist, a fundamental scientist, we know that applied science cannot exist without fundamental science, so it's all connected. And but you're also hard scientist, but and also a woman. And we would like to ask you that about the role of women in the energy transition and global development, also because you are a member of Organization for Women in Science for the Developing World. What is it according to you? Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. And this topic is something really special in my heart for sure. Like what I think is that the role of women in energy transition or development, it's multiform, it's multifaceted. But I will just keep few aspects which I think it's really the core in order to succeed on understanding the role of the woman in science. The first one, always like in education and capacity building, because when you invest in a girl education in STEM field, it is essential because it's like you are building a skilled workforce, and it will also fostering innovation in the energy sector. So this is from a girl education in the STEM field, but still in the same point of view, if you provide training or capacity opportunity for women in the technical or managerial role, that can definitely help on bridging the gender gap in an energy workforce as well. So because this is the matter, current matter in our society. The second one, it's more in the advocacy point of view, in policy advocacy, because we know that I'm always speaking in my perspective for my continent, for my country. We have a lot of disparity in law comparing to women. So if the women's participation in policy making and leadership role is crucial for shaping energy policy and strategy that address gender disparity and social equity as well. So supporting women leadership development and representation in energy governance can therefore lead to more inclusive and effective decision-making process, if I could say. The third one, it's linked to my continent and my country is more related to energy access and poverty alleviation. So we find women in my country, they are, and it's no, the data has already proven that women are disproportionately affected by energy poverty. So often they spending significant time and resources collecting like fuel, wood, and water for cooking and eating. It's making them away in a certain kind of way from education or any kind of level up activity. That's why Norah, when she said about I noted clean cooking. So it's important, like improving access to clean and modern energy service can free up from women and girls to enable them to pursue education, income generating activity, or other kind of opportunity for socio-economic advancement. So overall, what I could say is that ensuring like gender equality and women empowerment in the energy sector is not only a matter of social justice, but it's also a strategic imperative for achieving sustainable and inclusive development worldwide. That's my point of view.
Thank you so much, Maryse, for your input and for these important words and talking about the education of girls and women in science and STEM disciplines. I think that role models like you, examples like you, play really a great inspiring role for our future generations. Thank you so much and for your inputs. Okay, I will move toward our second speaker and our next panelist, Surya Raghu. Surya Raghu is the founder and director of ETCube International, based in the United States of America. In fact, it's very early in the morning there, so thank you very much for waking up so early for us. And the visiting professor at Wits University, South Africa. He's a scientist, inventor, and entrepreneur. Raghu holds a PhD in mechanical engineering from Yale University. His track record includes over 20 inventions and 14 US and international patents. Raghu has successfully commercialized his inventions through collaborations with industries, universities, and government laboratories in the United States. As a senior researcher, he has organized, directed, and delivered lectures and workshops on entrepreneurship to empower scientists and engineers to transform their innovative technologies into impactful solutions for industry or to create successful startups and spin-offs. His expertise extends beyond research as he actively contributes to the field of technology transfer, IP management, and research commercialization. Raghu's commitment to bridging the gap between scientific innovation and practical application is evident through his work at ETCube International. Dear Raghu, it's really an honor and pleasure to host you today and to be able to ask you a couple of questions to know more about your brilliant experience and such a rich professional path. So my first question to you would be regarding entrepreneurship. What role can entrepreneurship play in driving innovation in the field of sustainable energy, according to you? Looking forward to your inputs. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm trying to share my screen here. Let me see if I can share screen. Am I sharing the screen?
You are, but we also see your, like, it's not in.
Again, and see if I can do that. We just did that a while ago. It worked. Okay, so share screen. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, great. So thank you, Professor Diana Shendrikova. And good morning, good evening to everyone. And let me also thank UNESCO for providing me this opportunity to be part of this important topic of discussion. So the question you asked me is, what role can entrepreneurship play in driving the innovation in the field of sustainable energy? I want to begin by saying that entrepreneurs are game changers and fearless imaginers. That is, they want to change, they want to have an impact, and they want to make the world a better place. So we are not afraid of imagining things, innovative ideas, and trying it, experimenting it, and implementing it in the real world. The second point I want to make is that because of this nature, this fearless nature, that entrepreneurs, they want to bring changes, they don't accept the status quo, we can dream of what seems to be impossible, right? And so we can come up with radical or disruptive innovation and not only dream, but also make it happen. So in this context of today's topic of sustainable energy, I want to refer to this small picture here that I'm, the schematic that I'm putting on the right side of the screen. So what is plotted here is the energy produced and plotted against time. So the blue line shows that, the blue line shows the energy that is produced by conventional sources, and the blue dashed line shows our energy demands in the next 20, 30 years, and it's going really exponentially high. There's nothing wrong in demanding energy because we need energy for progress, for economic development, for providing energy to all the reasons that our other speaker from Kenya mentioned as well. So, but what is important is that production of energy by conventional methods is not going to be good for us. We are already seeing its impact on our environment, our global climate, our pollution levels. So that's not a sustainable approach to increase the amount of energy produced by conventional sources. Okay, so we need alternate solutions, and we have made a good beginning. The red dot shows where we are in time, and we need to accelerate our method of sustainable energy production to meet the demands and also reduce the dependence on conventional sources. Okay, so eventually what we want to do is meet all the demands of energy for whatever reason or all the reasons that were mentioned only by sustainable energy methods, and then reduce the production of energy by conventional sources. Okay, that's the one that has been polluting us all these years. So we have reached a critical point now, and it is not anymore possible to do this in the regular method, that is in the conventional sources. All right. So how do we drive innovation? So that's the other part of the question. So the first one is the approach. The way we look at the problem, it's not anymore looked as a supply side and demand side problem, but we look at it as a sustainability problem. We train the engineers, the entrepreneurs, and innovators to imagine all possibilities as a sustainability problem and to intervene and minimize emissions and consumptions. All right. So how do we do this? We want to look at new combinations of energy production and new infrastructure for storage. It's no longer the miles and miles of power grids, but the other types of infrastructure is going to matter a lot. and new market models. Again, it's not a supply side. Somebody produces electricity and somebody consumes it. So we have to look into different market models and new energy distribution models. It's no longer, again, the energy is produced at a central place and being distributed, but rather bidirectional energy distribution. That is, energy flows in both directions, okay? And then active participatory consumer model. That is the model we produce or we propose to the consumer. What kind of incentives we provide to the consumer to use electricity, to use energy, and also to supply back the excess energy. Okay? So it's not only a technical issue, we're also thinking of that as a business issue, as a market model for getting the sustainable energy moving very fast. The second thing is about mitigating risk. That is, we start from ground zero. The innovators and the entrepreneurs, they're not afraid of starting new and building pilot plants, okay? So for the proof of concept, as mentioned, we need to put in a lot of private money, private investors into this energy equation. And the only thing we can do that is by increasing their confidence. They don't want to put in too much money into high risk ventures, right? So the entrepreneurs minimize this risk by moving up what we call the technology readiness level. That is, it's feasible. We have the proof of it for them to be convinced that they can invest money and they have return on investment for that. So these are the ways that I think we can drive innovation in sustainable energy. And back to you, Diana.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Raghu. It's really insightful, and thank you for underlining this important role of entrepreneurs in the energy transition. But also, maybe just in few words, because we are a little bit behind the schedule. Given your rich career experience and also multifaceted career experience, what are the main challenges you personally encountered during your career as an innovator? How does it feel to be innovative? What are the challenges? Just maybe in few words. Thank you.
Yes, so I'll take just 30 seconds for this. I want to mention that not every idea will work. That's the concept for an innovator. So it is, at least it won't work the first time. So perseverance is really important, and learning to quit when it is not, when it is not going to work. So what we call fail fast. Learning to fail fast is really important. And then keeping track of technological advances. It's not only your field, not only in your field, but also in the related fields that is really important, because again, it's an interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary effort for these kind of projects, okay? So that is really important. And then look at challenges as opportunities. It makes us think different and be resourceful, okay? These are the qualities that we have to learn in order to be entrepreneurs and innovators. Thank you so much. Yes, back to you, Diana.
Thank you so much, Raghu. I think that these suggestions that you gave, that can actually work not only for not only for entrepreneurs, but also for other fields. For myself, I will take away the fail fast thing. It's like the first time I hear it, but I think it's a kind of genius. Yeah. Fail fast and move forward. So thank you very much for these insights. Thank you for being with us. And we are moving to our next panelist, and I'm proud to present Leidiane Ferronato Mariani. Leidiane is the executive director and co-founder of Amplum Biogás. She holds a PhD in energy system planning, renewable energy, biogas from the State University of Campinas in Brazil, and she's an environmental engineer. Leidiane specializes in biogas, biomethane, energy from waste, and sustainability. She's a consultant for Institute 17, a nonprofit organization that works on projects related to sustainable development goals. She's also a co-founder and partnership coordinator of the Women in Biogas Network, Brazil. She actively promotes the growth of biogas solutions. Leidiane is also an honorary council of Red Biolek, network of biodigesters for Latin America and the Caribbean. So, Leidiane, most welcome to our panel. And the first question that I would like to address to you is: how can biogas solutions contribute to the energy transition and sustainable development? The floor is yours, please, Leidiane.
Thank you, Diana. Hello, everyone. Thank you a lot for UNESCO and UNIDO for the invitation to participate in this webinar. And thank you for the previous colleagues that brought a lot of good insights for us. And first of all, biogas is a renewable energy produced through use of agriculture and sewage, food waste, organic products from industries, and it's produced through the works of bacteria. And this biogas can be used for electricity to substitute wood, and also as biofuels. And the role of biogas, it's really important for the energy transition and sustainable development in our countries, because it can be produced in a lot of different scales and a lot of different realities, and really can be used for substitute fuels as a household biodigesters and a clean cooking, as our previous colleague said, and also in a big scale, as in Brazil we have a lot of big landfills that are using the biogas to produce biofuels and to be used in trucks and the electricity generation. Then I think this is the most important thing, is we are using residues, effluents to produce energy, and using it as to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, but also to think about how we can be more resilient for the climate change. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lidia. I think that you mentioned a very crucial word. The concept of energy transition is resilience. Yeah, and that's something where biogas can really help a lot, because that's something that really, let's say, and it's a formidable example of circular economy that helps us to be autosufficient in a way, and also to be more resilient. I'm kind of curious, reading your biography. What is Red Biolek? Is you're an honorary counselor of Red Biolek. Could you please share some? First of all, maybe you can explain what it is, and share some success stories. An inspiring example in the Latin America and Caribbean region, where the biogas digesters are successfully used and applied. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. The Red Biolek is a network. It's like a group of people that was formed and this work started in 2009. Some years ago. Is a network of biodigesters for Latin America and Caribbean, and this network brings together professionals and institutions related to apply research and dissemination of anaerobic biodigestion in this region, in our continent. And I was part of the network board. I worked for the network for some years, and now I'm currently one of the honorary counselors. And the goal of the Rede Biolak is to stimulate the treatment and management of organic matter to improve the use of the residues and improve the life of the people from rural and urban areas on our continent. And this network, now we have a website and a lot of publications, and there is a annual meeting and to discuss and to have more network between the people. And during the most intense period of the network's work, with funding from the Wuppertal Institute from Germany, it was possible to hold conferences, publications, and exchange of knowledge between people from various countries. Therefore, considering it is known that there are thousands of household biodigesters spread across the continent, generating benefits for families and communities. What I see most is household biodigesters, and the people are substituting mostly wood. And as women are most impacted for the use of the wood in the house, the emissions, and the biogas can be used for clean cooking, and this can really change the reality of that people, that family, and that community. And we have several examples of it in countries as Colombia, Peru, Costa Rica, Brazil, and also as we see in Africa and Asia, and not just in. I think it's important to understand that the role of the engineers in all is understanding the need of the people in the field, not only talk about technologies, but how the technologies can make difference in the life of the people, and bring this knowledge of people and technology to the decision-making level, to integrate various point of views and find the agreements through the sustainable development. Thank you, Diane. I think I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you so much, Leidiane. And I really agree with you that technology should first and foremost be for the should be used to make life of as many people as possible better. And biodigesters is one of the wonderful examples of such technology, where household biodigesters can actually straight away, through clean cooking, improve the condition of women, but also of the household, children, and others. So thank you so much, Leidiane, for your wonderful, insightful inputs. And we are moving towards our next panelists, and I'm really happy to have here with us today Beni Suryadi. He's the manager of the Power, Fossil Fuel, Alternative Energy and Storage Department at the ASEAN Center for Energy and Intergovernmental Organization within the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. He holds a Master of Engineering in Gas Management from the University of Indonesia at the ASEAN Center for Energy. His role involves building a coherent, coordinated, focused and robust energy policy agenda and strategy for member states in the region. Beni leads studies that provide policy recommendations on enhancing power connectivity and market integration. Notably, he has been involved in significant projects such as the development of the 6th ASEAN Energy Outlook to ASEAN Interconnection Master Plan Study and the ASEAN Climate Change and Energy Project. His expertise lies in energy policy and electrification planning, contributing to the sustainable energy future for ASEAN region. Well, actually, I'm also very much personally interested in the topics that you deal with in your work, and I'm really excited to know a little bit more about your work, about what you are or what you work on, and about this interface, policy and science interface. That's something that is extremely important for energy transition, of course, not only, but today we're talking about this particular matter. So I would like to ask you, how can engineers, scientists contribute to evidence-based policymaking? From your experience, what is the main contribution? Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Thank you, UNESCO. Thank you very much for having me in this important occasion as we join the celebration of the World's Engineering Days for the Sustainable Development. As introduced, my name is Beni Suryadi, and I'm working as a research manager at the ASEAN Center for Energy. Again, disclaimer first, I'm an engineer by training. I got my bachelor degree on mechanical engineering, master degree on the gas management from the chemical engineering, but I don't think I can call myself an engineer anymore. And as Diana introduced that, I work for the ASEAN Center for Energy. It's an intergovernmental organization that represents the interests of the 10 countries in the Southeast Asia region for the energy cooperation. So we act as a catalyst, we act as a think tank, we act as a knowledge hub for the Ministry of Energy from the 10 countries, supporting the national and regional effort in the energy transition, achieving the shared goals of having the energy security, energy affordability, energy accessibility, and sustainability for all. And to simplify, like my day-to-day work is to support, helps assist the policymaker in making their national policy on energy, implementing their national policy, and in monitoring their national policy in the umbrella of harmonization within the regional policy. To even simplify it more, my work is to recommend to the government what kind of policy needed. For example, when they want to bring more renewable energy to replace the reliance on the fossil fuel, or when they want to embrace the climate targets or the climate commitment to achieve carbon neutrality or net zero, let's say by 2050 or 2060. This is one of the critical situations where the roles of engineer or scientists are very, very crucial. The contribution of the engineer, scientists, again, to emphasize, is very, very critical. The evidence-based policy making on the energy transition, we understand, is a complex and multidisciplinary process that requires the input from everyone, including, or also importantly, the engineer and scientists. Engineer and scientists can contribute to this process by providing reliable, relevant data, models, analysis on the current and the future states of the energy system. What is the impact and what is the benefit of the various different scenarios that we may, policymakers may consider, and also the technical and economic feasibility of all this kind of the energy solution. So this is the thing that scientists and engineers have an answer for the policymakers. So by doing this, the scientists and engineers will be able to inform and support the decision making of the policymakers, where without that kind of information, it helps them to balance the trade-off between all the options that we have to address. I mean, the policymakers need to address for us in the region, I mean, so policymakers need to address the need to fulfilling the energy, but it's also what is the impact to the social, and what is the impact to the economic development, but also at the same time, what is the impact on the environment, the climate commitment that the country is being made. So the engineer and scientists can contribute and must also contribute and engage in the dialogue and the collaboration with all of these stakeholders. I stop there, Diana.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Beni. Thank you for also given this perspective of a practitioner of evidence-based policymaking, giving some guidelines on how scientists and engineers can engage in this important process of evidence-based policymaking, which is always more and more relevant, and scientists are more and more asked, engineers are asked to have to provide policy relevant information, and from the other part, the policymakers, they need prompt and scientific inputs and technical inputs. So, but now that we know how scientists can engage, or engineers can engage in the evidence-based policymaking process, but why is it important? Why is it important to bridge this gap between science and policy? And is there any gap at all? What do you think? Thank you.
Thank you. That's going to be, yeah, that's going to be, I mean, of course, definitely we need to recognize if there's any gap between the policymakers and the scientists or in the engineer. From experience that we also learned that to some context, we see that how science has failed to inform the public policy with quite a consistency on pessimism that is growing among the scholar that engaging the policymaker, that it's worthless. Or whether it's worth their time and effort. We also learned that many researchers, many academians, many scholars simply also do not understand that policy work will enough to know where to begin. This unfamiliarity to some contexts also jeopardizing or limiting their ability to communicate across the point of view or the distinct culture that separate them from the policymaker. At worst, this might cause the disengagement, making it significant gaps between these two worlds. But it also, in another side, there is also a lot of question, but do policymakers really care about 1,000 papers that being published in the first quarter journal? It's going to be like whether a policymaker able to see the value of the research from the work that being done by the scientists of engineering. The quest for the evidence-based policymaking is little more like maybe than a pipe dream. So the way I see it's like, I mean, it's going to be both policymakers and the scientists or engineer are thinking and talking and figuring out the solution about the same thing. I mean, this is our all common problem. But it just they see it differently. And just because they see it differently, they speak differently, and they talk differently, again and again contributing to more and more wide gaps between the policy and academic work. And this is what we at the ASEAN Center for Energy are doing, bridging these two worlds. At the ASEAN Center for Energy, one example that I may share, that we established what we call it ASEAN Researcher Network on the Energy and Climate Change. So this is a group of the researchers in the Southeast Asia region who are working on the issue of the energy and the climate change. So we utilize this group. From ACE, that I'm bringing the issue, I'm bringing the problem from the policymakers and extend it to the researchers. That can be, hey, this is the concern that we have in the policymakers. Please consider or please do this as your research. So please give us a recommendation based on your studies. Going to be well. So we bringing that We're bringing the problem, or bringing the concern, we're bringing the question from the policymaker to these researchers. But also at the same time, we are supporting this researcher, the academy, the scholars, to translate their high-tech language paper, that's going to be into what we call it a policy brief. So from this 10 or 15 or 20 page journal paper with a very high text and language that could be translating into 2 or 3 policy brief, that where the policy maker will be able to read it clearly and then understand what is kind of point. So this is the gap that we are trying to bridge by having this ASEAN research network on energy and climate change. And so far, we already have around 600 group of the researchers who are working on this issue, as they have become a brain for the policymaker in addressing the issue on the energy and climate change in the region. But the last point that I also would like to address is a gap between the policymaker with the local engineer or scientist. I put emphasis on the local because for us in the developing countries, I mean, quite often you see that there is donors or from the developed countries inviting the policymakers from Indonesia, Malaysia, and the other countries, or go to travels to Europe, to France, to Germany, and then expose them with the high-tech technology that Germany has, or the France have, or UK has, or the US has. It could be 2 or 3 weeks trips, could be, and then come back from that trip. That most of the policymaker will their head will fulfill with, so this is kind of the solution that we need to apply to our countries, like something. And then they will go make a policy based on that. So this is also I think the gap that's going to be like whatever that they learn, that's it has to be. I mean, they have to also get an input from the local engineer, for local scientists that will be able to help them to address this issue from the local perspective. So this is where I see is also a very critical point, that the gap that we are experiencing that we need to address. I hope I respond to that question, Diana, and thank you very much for the opportunity to share my views.
Yeah, thank you very much, Beni. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for these inputs, for reminding us that it's a two-way road, two-way road from the policymakers and scientists, and we always need to find some kind of consensus, common ground, but also to engage and to move forward both ways, like from the demand side of the scientific advice, and also from the supply side of the scientific advice, and to find the common language, to find the communication. As you said, through policy brief, and also what you said, you're a kind of policy broker, yeah, like you created this space in order to make this demand and supply meet, engineers, scientists, and policymakers meet. It's very important. And also, I connect your final consideration to what Maryse and Nkoua said before. It should be applied locally. It should be there is no one-fit-all solution. It should all be the local context should be taken into consideration. And thank you again, Beni, for being with us. And I'm moving to the last but not least of our panelists, and I'm particularly happy to present Adedoyin Adeleke, because he's also my colleague here at Politecnico di Milano, at UNESCO Chair in Energy for Sustainable Development. And he's a research fellow at the Sustainable Energy System Analysis and Modeling Research Group. And also he got a PhD in energy energy engineering from Politecnico di Milano. So having his academic and research background in energy, Adedoyin works at the interface of science, policy, and practice on green growth with a focus on Africa. And as a visionary behind Green Growth Africa, he's committed to realizing a green and more sustainable Africa. Within the UNESCO chair, he contributes to several intercontinental engineering projects, such as the long-term joint research and innovation partnership on renewable energy between the European Union and African Union, LIPRI, and Ambassadors for Sustainable Transition, Ambition, both funded by the European Commission, among other projects and programs with impact across Europe and Africa. Okay, Adedoyin, first of all, I would like to ask you a couple of questions, and the first one is, how can we encourage the adoption of sustainable energy solutions in developing countries? What is your take on it? The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Diana, and very special thanks to UNESCO for this initiative of inviting me. And personally, I'm also very grateful for the UNESCO Chair initiative. I had my PhD within the UNESCO Chair in Energy for Sustainable Development at the Politecnico Milano in Italy. Right, now, going straight to the question. As the last speaker, a couple of some of the points I have been mentioned. So I'll be brief on those ones, and then probably I'll take more time on the ones that have not been mentioned. How do we encourage the adoption of sustainable energy solutions in developing countries? And I'll say in brief, let those who face the challenges own the solution. Of course, somebody has mentioned something close to that already. One, and in what sense? Matching the solutions to the local challenges. So, because when the people that are good, that are facing the challenges, when they own the, when they own the solution, you find that there is more commitment, there is more collaboration, even for funded projects, perhaps funded intervention. Funding is not all about ownership. And often I read in papers and scientific papers recommendation to build a sense of ownership. But I would say we need to go from a sense of ownership to really, really engaging them such that they have a part in decision-making about those projects. For instance, then I'll talk about the other point, which is I call technicalities beyond technologies. Now, oftentimes, when we don't involve people, we just observe that they lack energy access and want to provide for them. And then you go to bring, for instance, solar energy. I'll use illustration of a water solution that was done in the community somewhere. You know, the people that brought the solution, the water solution, thought that they have solved the problem because the women have to travel several kilometers to get water. And when they brought the water, they thought everybody would be excited. But when they would do the evaluation, they realized that the women don't go to fetch, even though the water system is very close to their house, they still continue to go to the stream. By the time they did their research, they understood that the women actually take advantage of the time that they trek to the stream, very far distance, to discuss about the problems they are having with their husbands. So women to women talk that they will not discuss within the neighborhood. So by bringing that solution, even though it solves the water problem, it also it counteracts with the social value that they get from moving. But if the people are involved in developing the solution, definitely, perhaps there would have been recommendations, say, oh, this is how we want, this is how we want it. And then they are part of it. And there are some of the reasons that they will not even tell you, like the one I've just mentioned. Then I talk about equitable partnership. Now, usually when you look at some platforms and some committees made around the world, perhaps because they're being funded from the Global North, oftentimes the Global North has a stake in such committees. And I think that if we really want developing countries to be part of it, then there should be equitable partnership. And I will even say that perhaps the developing countries being quote unquote the benefiting partner ought to even have more stake. And I would recommend that when forming such committees, you know, probably because of the high population of young people in developing countries, there should be focus on the young people. Even if it's a local community stuff, there should still be a focus on the young people over there. And I say that two more points about that before I hang it up there. It's about understanding the peculiarity. When we are making provision about technology, the way solar energy works in Italy is not the same way it will work in Nigeria. For instance, Italy is using solar energy for energy transition, not energy access. In Nigeria, the first thing is about energy access before the climate, the energy transition. So understanding the peculiarity of developing countries in terms of high level of informality, high level of rurality, poor economic profile, low level of digitalization will help us, will inform the kind of technologies that we can present to these people in developing countries, and they'll be happy to accept. And of course, that will also inform not just the technology, but the business model. And I'd like to say, in closing on that subject, that Energy transition is a process, not an event. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Adedoyin. They are telling me that we are running out of time, that we went really long, but maybe if you just can, in half a minute, answer one question that we still have. I know it's challenging, but I know you can make it. How can engineering be used to develop innovative solutions for creating a sustainable energy future? Thank you.
Right, really challenging, but I'll see how many things I can brush and mention before the time closes. But please feel free to stop me. Now, one is understanding, teaching technology at the local level, so that, because when you teach people, they not naturally will understand the teaching and the lessons within the local context of their local context, which means that they will understand it within the context of their problems and their environment. And then when they come up with solution, they come up with local solution that fits within their context. That's why. Now, but when we talk about technology, what are we really talking about? Oftentimes, I see us limiting our understanding of technology, particularly when we talk about it in terms of equipment. Whereas technology is all about how to do. Now, three things. One, about the equipment, which is easy. Now, then number two, set of codes, which are the manual. And the last one, know-how. Now, it is easy to really, if we have a new technology machine in America, to move it to Nigeria, for instance, just take maybe 1 month. And then to send a set of codes, I can download it online. But the issue, where the issue lies, is transferring the know-how. Now, because of time, I'll just summarize that normally, if we are to allow people to learn, go through the normal learning circle, research so that it takes about 10,000 hours to master a new skill. Now, by the time we are waiting for 10,000 hours to master one skill, then transition will be slow. Whereas I think that what can extend that process is, for instance, migration. Migration of people from a place where they know, and then the people does not have to go through the learning cycle. I would have demonstrated that because of time. But rather, by working together with people who are already experts in the field, who just need to upgrade their knowledge, we can be able to accelerate learning about sustainable innovation, and people can now on their own develop the solution. I have to stop there because of time, sorry. But I have a lot of points I would have mentioned, but I think it's okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adedoyin. I really appreciate it. The synthesis, but still very, very insightful. If I can, I'm allowed to ask just a couple of questions. There are many questions, but I would just choose two, and I ask our speakers to be very, very straight to the point. So the first one is for Raghu. How do you tackle the issue of prices, costs of innovation for sustainability without necessary policies in place? So that's the question.
Yeah, so thank you, Diana. That's a very deep-rooted question. But what I would like to answer is that it is both ways. That is, policies, we need to understand that one side is policy making and one side is the incentives that is provided for the industries, and the incentive that is latent for the private industry to come in and run this as a business opportunity. So, when we all move towards sustainability, there is a big opportunity for private industry to invest. So in addition to policy making, it is also from the profit making also that is important, and it comes both ways. So that's my take on that. Policies are important, but also incentives, not as a policy, but as what the private industry can take it on its own. I hope I'm not mistake. Okay.
No, it's perfect. Thank you. And one last very short question for Leidiane. How do we ensure that the production of biogas will sustain in the long run?
Thank you. It's a really good question, because some projects, some biogas projects, sometimes they doesn't continue to be working in the long term. And this is really important to understand that in addition to installing new biodigesters, it's important to create a structure and a supply chain and policies to support the continuous operating of these biodigesters in the field. Then some strategies to it is ensure the feedstock availability and diversity, the innovation and search for efficiency in the projects is really important. And the market development, sometimes we have some projects that are financed for developed countries and in our continent, and when they go and the project stays with the local people, not always they have the resources to continue, and the market is not really developed. It was only a punctual intervention, and this is not good for the long-term project sustainability of the project. Also, financing conditions and capacity building and knowledge sharing, I think, is the mainly strategy for the sustaining in long term of the biodigesters. So it's important to put the biodigesters in biogas and in public policies. That is the answers.
Thank you very much. So we came back to the science policy interface, and thank you very much for our panelists for this wonderful exchange that we had, and thank you very much for our audience for their questions. There were more than these ones, but maybe there will be a way to somehow send them to the speakers later on. And I'm leaving the floor for the closing remarks to Shahbaz Khan, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Diana, for this great panel discussion. Your adept moderation of the panel actually is greatly appreciated, and the insightful exchange of ideas and perspectives during this session with you and all the panelists have been truly enriching. So I thank you all, you and the panelists, for ensuring a dynamic and engaging conversation. Thank you so much. Before we conclude with Professor Shahbaz Khan, I would like to ask you please to give us one more chance to try the video of our Assistant Director General. Hopefully we overcome the technical issues. Let us see.
Excellencies, dear colleagues, esteemed engineers, dear friends of Engineering for Sustainable Development, ladies and gentlemen. Today we gather virtually on World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development to celebrate the remarkable contributions made by engineers everywhere, a community that drives progress and innovation. This year's celebration theme is Engineering Solutions for a Sustainable World. It serves as a reminder to us that as engineers, we hold the power and responsibility to shape a better tomorrow, one that is resilient, equitable, and environmentally conscious. Energy lies at the heart of sustainable development. Our dependence on fossil fuels has consequences: climate change, resource depletion, and environmental degradation. However, we must have an opportunity to overcome these challenges by engineering a transition towards sustainable energy sources. Nations attending COP28 in Dubai last December approved a roadmap for transitioning away from fossil fuels. As engineers, we must accelerate the adoption of renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, hydropower, and geothermal. Simultaneously, we must strive for a greater energy efficiency by improving energy storage systems, including batteries. We must reduce waste and optimize energy use through smart grids, energy efficiency buildings, and innovative transportation systems. Electrification is another critical avenue. We must reduce greenhouse gas emissions by electrifying sectors like transportation and heating. Electrical vehicles, heat pumps, and grid-scale storage will all play a crucial role in this transformation. The spread of smart cities will be essential in our urbanized world. Moreover, these cities will not really be smart unless they are also ecological. In other words, they should not only have recourse to digital technologies, but also contribute to sustainable development, such as through the widespread adoption of renewable sources of energy, wastewater management, and waste recycling systems and urban revegetation. We must also address material choices. Petrol-based materials like plastics are polluting our environment and damaging our health. Plastics have been found not only in animals, but also in fruits and vegetables. The World Economic Forum estimates that there could be more plastic particles than fish in the oceans by 2050. Our challenge is to develop bio-based alternatives to plastics and other petrol-based materials that meet product specifications. Ladies and gentlemen, let us also prioritize inclusion and diversity. Historically, women have been underrepresented in engineering. They account for just 28% of engineering graduates worldwide in 2018. We must break down the barriers, challenge the gender stereotypes in order to create environments in which all aspiring engineers can thrive, regardless of their gender. It has been said that science has no gender. The same is true of engineering. This change in mindset is all the more critical in that the demand for skilled engineers far exceeds the available supply. According to the UNESCO engineering report, nearly 1 in 3 engineering roles will remain unfilled each year until at least 2030. This persistent talent gap imperils the energy transition as it does the green transition overall. It also jeopardizes future economic growth. Efforts to bridge this gap face several hurdles. These hurdles include the uphill struggle to increase diversity and inclusion in engineering, insufficient reskilling and upskilling efforts, and limited coordination across industries and educational institutions. It will be crucial to overcome these hurdles if we are to address the current shortage of engineers. It was in 2019 that UNESCO officially proclaimed 4th March as World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development. Here at UNESCO, we are convinced that we must ensure that engineering delivers on the Sustainable Development Goals by forging global partnerships and catalyzing collaboration. This year we start the International Decade of Sciences for Sustainable Development. We count on all of you to be part of it. After all, engineers hold the blueprint for a more resilient world. They just need to use this blueprint. The choices we make today will ripple across continents for generations to come. Let us be bold. Let us be creative. Let us be unwavering in our commitment to a better, a more sustainable future. I thank you all.
Thank you very much. So the technology worked this time. Thank you very much for our Assistant Director General for these words on the occasion of the World Engineering Day. And thank you all for your patience and listening. Now we come to the end, and as we conclude this insightful webinar, I invite now Professor Shahbaz Khan, the Director and the representative to UNESCO Multisectoral Regional Office for East Asia, which is located in Beijing, China, to deliver the closing remarks. Dear Shahbaz, the floor is yours.
Dear Amal, I hope everyone can hear me. Ladies and gentlemen, dear fellow engineers, I am one of you as well. This has been really a very enlightening webinar on engineering a sustainable energy future. I can say I'm filled with optimism and inspiration, and I think you are too. Our collective efforts certainly have illuminated a path towards a better tomorrow. a tomorrow where innovative solutions will drive us towards a more sustainable world. Allow me to reflect on a few takeaway messages from today's discussions. So, number one, engineering solutions for a sustainable world. A theme of this year's World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development, as you know, underscores this very pivotal role for engineering to play and is playing, and the dedication of engineers and the related science and technologies disciplines to solve the global challenges such as climate change, poverty, and inequality. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very important time in our lives where we are at the crossroads of an engineering crisis, which is also an energy crisis, the water crisis, the food crisis. Energy plays a very important role, and we have to find the right solutions. That's where sustainable energy solutions is my other takeaway. Our planet is yearning for sustainable energy sources. Decisions we make today will be followed by generations. And we need to work on policy as well as on the leadership issues. I really like from discussions the science policy interface, which all of us have been working. And this is really to be triggered by what panelists have shared in an excellent way, our journey towards ownership. Ownership to a compact between engineers and engineering with society. The other really important message from today is the entrepreneurship and innovation. And this is cutting across several of UNESCO programs. For a better world, we need entrepreneurial spirit to progress this world toward the SDGs. So I thank the panelists, Ms. Maryse, Mr. Surya, Ms. Leidiane, Mr. Beni Suryadi from Jakarta. I used to be regional director there. Mr. Adedoyin, who really have made a very wonderful case with examples and practical examples for entrepreneurship in the field of sustainable energy. Your stories have inspired us to forge ahead creative ways to have a meaningful impact at a global scale. And this issue of scale you really tackled well. Collaboration and partnerships. This is very important. That's where UNESCO and what we say UNESCO family brings together. We have witnessed the power of collaboration today through your excellent work, the video of our ADG Lidia Brito, to the opening remarks of Dr. Shaofeng, and certainly a wonderful opening speech of Norah. And the insightful moderation. I really like the moderation of Professor Diana Shendrikova. Well done. You have all highlighted our shared commitment towards a sustainable future. And with your ideas, certainly we are already fostering the partnerships which transcend borders and disciplines. I'm also very grateful to all the organizers, especially led by our dear Dr. Amal and well supported by Indira and our technical team, and all of you who have participated today from different continents. So we together have to take this debate to the next level. And the next level is evidence-based policy and its policy implementation with innovative solutions by bringing transdisciplinary approaches in engineering. And very importantly, all of you have highlighted what resonates well with me. We need to link supply and demand sides of society in the best possible way. We need to find those pathways for, especially for the International Decade for Science for Sustainable Development, which is about to start. And all of you can play a very important role at all levels. And in the region where we are, you can be very active linking with China, Japan, Korea, and many others. Also very importantly highlighted by ADG Lidia is the open science movement. And from today's discussion, as a fellow engineer, I would say let's work together to define open engineering. Open engineering, in my understanding, is more difficult than open science because, you know, science brings those theories and ideas, And then technology provides you with the tools, and engineering provides the solutions. And there are many issues we need to tackle as we define open engineering. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the end, what a wonderful day. Let us work together more on sustainable energy solutions, and let's work towards a brighter, more equitable future. And in the United Nations way of describing that future is a future where no one is left behind. And I strongly believe in our collective efforts to propel us towards those solutions which are owned by the society, which bring a greater impact, and very importantly, which helps poor people with their basic needs of energy, water, food security, and a life of dignity within our lifetimes. I thank you. Thank you very much, dear Amal.
Thank you so much, dear Shahbaz, for these beautiful words, and no one is left behind. With this, we end our webinar, and I do hope that everyone who is listening to us today benefited from all the discussions and the insights. And as you know, we do this webinar every year, so I'm looking forward to seeing you next year on the World Engineering Day. Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon, all of you, or good evening, Shahbaz. Bye-bye.